So tonight is business model canvas, and then we have mentoring starting at 7. And next Monday, we're going to have knowing your customers, you get me again. Then you got to understand your market, you get me again. And the midpoint check-in is going to be kind of a temperature taking session. So we'll talk about what we've covered so far, if you're having any challenges, and if you need any kind of specific help that your mentor group is not giving you, then it gives you an opportunity to ask for a specific type of mentor. Can you hit enable? Or I can. Okay. All right, and just to bring that up, we do have closed captions available. All you have to do is find it in the More menu when you're online. All right, then we'll move on to a bunch of guest speakers. We'll have legal strategy with an attorney, and pricing strategy. We have a pricing expert, a fellow who has a PhD in it. And then sales and financials, we have another expert coming in for that. And then David is coming back for supply chain. And then we get to do our pitch practice. But what we'd like to do every session is call on some people to actually talk about their business a little bit, just so that you guys get comfortable with the whole notion of standing up and talking briefly about your business. So I think we should get to that part right now. So I'm going to pick on a lady in a white jacket. Are you ready to talk about your business? That's right. Oh, look at this. Ooh, okay. What do you want to do? All right. So we'll first take the mic. Okay. Last week we did a little exercise. It was kind of the value proposition of what your business does, what problem it solves, who your customers are, and how you're getting it done.
That was the homework. We did. Okay. But I wrote it and then I just submitted it, not it's just going to be from memory. So
that's how I'm doing it.
Perfect. Well, my son and I, we are a catering and mobile bistro. My son is a private chef. We have a scratch kitchen, meaning we make everything we possibly can from scratch, including mayo, mustard, pickles, sauerkraut. My son is just nuts. And we love making people happy with our food. So this is Foodie Land. We are in Foodie Land, and so we like to make people happy with our delicious meals, and we're mobile and container. So we're also working on food production, making products. So that's us.
Okay, you're playing the package some of you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Been working on that a long while. Some of the products 10 years or more. Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay. Here's the mic for you.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm Paula.
Hi, Paula.
So my name is Vicki, and we actually are in the process of opening a 501(c) business, nonprofit. We actually work with young ladies who are transitioning out of the foster care program, ages 18 to 23. We provide them with living environment, training skills, how to learn about daily living. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we do.
You want to add to that?
Maddie, are you able to share Maddie? Yeah, are you able to share the online microphone?
Oh, sorry.
People are saying they have trouble hearing the audience.
Okay, that's because the online speakers over there are up on the line. All right, we use that all.
Okay. My name is Rachel.
You guys might even be able to hear Rachel.
That's not loud enough. Okay. My name is Rachel, and I have a startup business called Ray Lachey Inc. It's two-tiered We provide editing services for written media, books, articles, journals, scripts. And then we also do, so that's the media consulting, and then we also take scripts as best as we can and move them as far along into production as possible, with the goal of getting it distributed and on the big screen.
Okay, so she has a business, Ray Lachey, that does editing of screenplays and other types of story writing, and then also has a consulting service where they take a script and develop it as far as they can to make it ready to be distributed to film houses. Okay.
It's quick night for Maggie.
How well can you remember?
And I can just tell a quick story, which I won't be short long. We have a film coming out next month called We're Not Married, ? It should be on Tubi and Peacock, so keep your eye out for that.
Okay, well, let me repeat that.
They have a show that's actually going to be on Peacock next month. Was it?
We're not married.
It's called We're Not Married. But when's it happening? When's it showing?
It's
It'll be released and then
it'll
you
be
can watch
released,
it.
cross our fingers, Valentine's Day, but we're waiting on that. It's a rom-com.
Well, of course it's a rom-com. We're not married, ? Okay, anybody else want to go? One more? Yes, ma'am.
I'll keep it over there and you'll
Oh, you go there? Okay, great. I like this. You're gonna get a little exercise. There's somebody in the waiting room.
And Rachel, question from online. What's the name of your company? Ray Lachey Inc.
RAELASH.
Yes. But it also goes by, that's the name, but it goes sometimes media consultants for the
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Sheree. I am the owner of SMS Fortunes Tax Service. We offer accounting, bookkeeping, and tax preparation services to everyone. We also offer advances on your tax return, and we help with any type of financial situation you might have if you're trying to get ready to buy a house or anything like that. So, and you're virtual and have a storefront.
So when you say get ready for a big purchase, like purchasing your house, are you offering consulting services or what they need to do to be ready for that? It's not like you're lending money.
No, I don't lend money.
You're not
I just
a
help them get their paperwork together.
All right, thank you. Good job, everybody. So yeah, you should be prepared. Even if you're online, you might get called on next time to speak a little bit about your company. Okay, moving on. All right, once again, you have received your invitation to Disco. So that's where we're posting all of the recordings and campus maps and other things that you need to know. And there is a little bit of homework that's available there too. We have assets in there. One of the assets that's in there is the business model canvas, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. If you have any trouble with Disco, Andrew is our go-to guy. So it's andrew@startupnv.org, and he can help you out. And I can't see what this is telling me. Under learning, that's where you'll find the assets that we're talking about. In the feed is where the notices will be posted. And this is the app. Oh, on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have it on my phone. All right, here we go, finally. Business model design. So this is called, the asset is called the Business Model Canvas. It is available online at a website called Strategizer. And I think the next one actually has the website. Well, you can see in the lower right-hand corner, Strategizer, G-Y-Z-E-R. This is available for free. And now we're going to go back. So strategizer.com, and you can download this business model canvas, or it should be an asset that's available in Disco. So business models are the roadmap that guides entrepreneurs to achieve their goals. Now, it used to be that if you went to business school, you would be spending your first course in the whole 3 months creating a business plan with all of these projections and all of this research. And it's cumbersome and it's like an exercise that you do. So instead, we're going to give you a one-page methodology for capturing all of the interesting and mandatory things that you need to do for your business. And the beautiful thing about it is that it's a living document. You can make one, stick it in a drawer. I think this is really actually interesting to do is as you're on your startup journey, make a business model canvas now. And then make another one in 6 months or a year. And it's good to be able to go back and see how much your business has evolved. It'll also help you remember which vendors you were using when you first started, because as you get more adept in your business, you're going to find better ways to cut costs by switching vendors. So it's like a walk down memory lane. Be really fun. So in the business model, it tells us who your customers are, how you're going to reach them, and what you're going to charge for your services. The business model canvas is divided into 2 different aspects, and we'll get to that in a second. Why do so many startups fail? Well, one reason is they don't have a roadmap. There are many reasons why startups fail. It's actually more interesting to find out why startups succeed. But you guys, you know, you're out there, you're willing to try, you have an idea and a passion that you have to pursue. So getting as much help from people as you can certainly won't hurt. And it may make you able to get to your goals faster through a course like this or through mentorship. So many people don't know how to implement their ideas, and they are not checking back frequently enough to see if they have veered off course. And so your business model canvas can help to keep you on track. So if we reduce uncertainty, we can create value and we can keep focused on our goals. So the more research and the more that we plan for our business, the better off we're going to be and the easier it is going to be to make progress. So this business model canvas is a tool, and it was made by some German guy. So, well, see, Cara teaches this class too, and she went to the Nirvana University, whatever, where the guy who created it was teaching. I have not been so fortunate. So to me, it's just some German guy. So, so we have 9 different boxes here, and it's 1 page. So that means you can't write a novel. You have to be very brief. It has to be necessarily succinct, which is great. And if you think of it as kind of the front of the house and the back of the house, then that will help you to visualize what we're doing here. So the value propositions, these are the things that we are offering for customers. These are the things that are going to make the customers want to buy our product or service. And so everything to the right of the value propositions is customer facing. Does somebody have a question? Andrew, can you see? No? Okay. All right, so we're going to work on value propositions, and then our customers and our customer segments are going to come next. So we're actually going to spend time creating customer personas, and well, I have a great book that I can recommend, but not in my head right now, that helps you to develop customer personas. So you are going to actually create the background of a person who would be buying your product or service. And so there are differences. You're going to have one customer that buys it for this reason. You're going to have another customer who buys it for that reason. But by developing your customer personas, their personalities, how they live, what they work at, what they do for fun, you're going to be able to target those customers better. And then you can develop another personality. So when you're doing your social media advertising, you can direct some of your messaging to one customer and another commercial or ad or video to a different customer. So this way you will be able to also test and see which ones are more responsive to the ads that you're making. And channels are the ways that we're distributing. So I just talked about social media. So if you want to reach business people, you're definitely going to be on LinkedIn. If you want to reach older people, you're definitely going to be on Facebook. But I have to tell you that in the last year, Facebook has made amazing changes to their algorithm, and it's doing a lot better at learning, and it's not limited to just older people anymore. They're able to target specific groups, age groups, and interest levels. And Madeline, our social media person, so if you have questions about that, you can ask her. So how are we going to reach them into the channels? So we're going to create value propositions, the different motivations for people to buy and what our product does for them. Customer relationship, how are we reaching them? How are we coddling them? How are we just taking care of them and being indispensable and delighting them? Those are our customer relationships. The customer segments is where we break them out into different personalities so we can really understand them. And one of the best ways to do that is actually talk to your customers and find out more about them. And then the channels is how do we distribute our product and how do we reach our customers. So that's front of the house, and that leads to our revenue streams. So we start with value proposition, customer relationships, channels, customer segments, and then we know how we're going to be making money. On the back end, cost structure is all about what does it cost for us to provide our product or service. And who do we have to partner with to get this product together or this service? So they're going to be our vendors, and they're going to be people that help us along the way. So for example, Facebook, you could consider them a partner because you're using their service to reach your customers. And what activities do you have to do to make this product or service? Well, we have employees, we have to pay them. Okay, what else do we have to do? We have to have somebody who can do these creative ads, somebody who understands that can get it out there in front of the public. Our resources can be, again, people. They can be parts that go into whatever the product is. It could be an influencer that you're going to use to get your product in front of more people. So these are all the back-end things that make the front end work. And a lot of people have no idea how much work it is to do the back-end part. But that's kind of what you want to have for the public, right? When you're putting on a play, you've got costumers, you've got the people who make sure that the microphones are close enough so that you can hear people. You've got the people who mark the marks on the floor so that people know where to stand when they're performing. There's so many people and so many things that go into what looks like a flawless performance to the customer, but it's the thing that makes you get gray hair and not sleep at night. So this little 9-box paper covers all of these different aspects. Come on in, Nathaniel. All of the different aspects of your business. And as I said, you don't have to write it and forget it. You can write it and then modify it. And it's a living thing. But like I said, I don't throw them out. I think it's fun to keep them to see where you've been and where you're going. So the green part is customer facing. The red part is operational back end. And if I had printed them out for you, you would be able to sit here and work on them. So you saw that they were small boxes. So we're only going to put 1 or 2 bullets in for each box. And we're not going to write in full sentences. And it's going to trigger you to remember what you were thinking. Just with that bullet point, those 2 or 3 words, in the future, you're going to be able to remember what you were thinking and what you were doing when you created this. So, for example, separate different ideas and concepts into different bullets. So that's true for who your customers are. You want like a different bullet for each different customer that you think you're going to reach. If you're selling spa supplies, you could be selling them direct online through an internet website, but you could also have some high-end spas where you're selling through them. And you could maybe also be going to farmers markets. So you're gonna have slightly different customers there. Farmers market customers are going to be, and you'll develop your own personality for them, but they tend to be people who are a little more health conscious. They're going out, they're buying fresh produce, they're buying from organic farmers markets. So they're going to be more interested in that kind of organic aspect of it. The high-end spa goer is somebody who spends time pampering themselves. They may have more income so that they can go and do that kind of thing. So you may even have different price points, or you may even have different brand names that your product is packaged under for these different customers. Now that does get into more expense, but it is one way to make sure that you keep your spa customers thinking that they have a very exclusive product, and your farmers market customers that they have an exclusive product also. So no orphan atoms. That means don't write around the outside. Make sure it goes in a box. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so does that mean?
The question was, if we have two different concepts, are we going to have two different sheets? And I would ask, what do you mean by a different concept? Are you like walking dogs, but also making face cream? No, I don't think that you would need to, because your product, you're going to make the product the same. You're going to have different packaging. Okay, so that's like a different operational part. But if your ingredients are going to be the same, or even if you're going to have like more expensive exclusive ingredients, like some people put gold leaf and things, you know, that would be it's still the same business. It's just different product lines. Just another bullet on the same sheet. Yes, and if you start off that way, it's the same concept, it's different channels and different customers. You're welcome. Any questions online, Andrew?
Nope, not.
Okay. All right, so when we're going into customer segments, for whom are we creating value? Okay, so this is identifying one of our customers. Who is our customer? I feel like, okay, just have to be a little bit closer to the mic. And then if we're going to do mass market, are we going to have niches? And so for the example that was just brought up, she's got two completely different customers, or in the example I was giving with a product where we could be in a spa, but we could also be at a farmer's market. We're going to have different customer personas for that. What do they have in common? Well, both of them are still going to be interested in fine skincare, but they're going to be different customers. So in your customer segment, you're going to try to think about all the different customers that you could have, and you may not necessarily be going after all of these customers when you start. You're going to have to pick the customer that you think that you can get the most traction from, the one who's going to give you the most sales. And then as you start getting income, then you can think about moving to other customers. What do we deliver to the customer? What problem are we solving? And what bundles of products or services are we offering each customer segment? So as I said, we can have different packaging for different customers. We can have different ingredients for different customer bases. And you could have, like if you're going to start selling at Walmart, but first of all, it's very difficult to get into Walmart, okay? Because you have that huge volume and they're going to beat you up on price. So Walmart may not be your first choice. But you may have different pricing and bundles for different outlets. Like, you know, the 20-pound jar of mayonnaise at Costco. Like Hellmann's didn't used to make 20-pound jars of mayonnaise. But to get into Costco, they're going to change the way that they're operating. So it's a slightly different customer. All right, the customer segments, reach back to the value proposition, and you're going to develop your relationship with them. You're going to keep your customer warm and thinking about you through email or through whatever channel that customer group prefers. So it could be through one of the social media channels. It could be through email. It could be through text messaging. You have a lot of different avenues to explore when you're targeting your customer and finding out what their lifestyle is like. So I know a lot of young people tend to do most stuff through the phone and text. So with even people that are my age, if we're sending them an email, we're sending them a text to say, go check your email. Because nobody wants to check their email. Okay. All right, so how do you deliver the value? That's the channel. How are you getting the value to the customers? And so you need to understand both the distribution and the way to reach them through marketing. Now, the back end. The partners are what support all of the front end activities. So who will help you form close relationships with the customer? And this is an ongoing process. As you're in business, you're going to find people who use your product in unexpected ways. And then you have to say, oh, is this an outlier or is this a whole customer segment that I didn't even know about? So I'll tell you a very weird story. So I used to work for a food manufacturer, and it was mostly a healthy food manufacturer, but they carried blackstrap molasses. And blackstrap molasses does have some health benefits. And so people take it and sometimes they'll mix it with like club soda. Did I tell this story to you before? Okay, but we got a letter from a customer who used it on his hemorrhoids. And he swore by it. And so like, the question is, how do you advertise for that in a classy way? And is it really a customer segment? So it's funny, we did not market specifically to that audience. Okay. So you may have partners. Partners help you get paid, right? Partners don't pay each other. They help you get paid. So you may have complementary product offerings so that you can partner. In the case of the skin person, maybe you know somebody who has a line of organic soaps. Okay, so you've got creams, they've got soaps. You can bundle things together. You can go to trade shows together. You can share each other's customer lists so that you're increasing everything. So this is a key way to think about reaching new customers, is to find a partner. I've got another story of one of my husband's startups. Was years ago when there was like the Auto Trader. It was just a newspaper type magazine that would come to people, and it had cars that were for sale. And so one of his first startups was a vehicle information network. And so they were making it so you could call an 800 number, tell them what type of car you wanted, and they would source it. They would find a car that was in a 50-mile radius, and they were guaranteeing the price. So whoever was selling it, so they had this connection with the auto dealers, because it was a whole new channel for them to gain customers. And the only caveat was that they couldn't charge above this price. So you could still go to the car dealer and you could wheel and deal yourself, and you could get possibly a better deal, but you knew what the max price was going to be. So their partners were the car dealers, but in addition to that, they got AAA as a kind of a big sumo, big brother that was recommending that this was the best way to go out and buy a car. So you can think big, really big for these types of partners, where you've got somebody who's got a lot of reach and you're just a little guy, but maybe you can offer something that's new that they can offer to their customer. Yes, sir. No, it was way before Carvana. But thanks for. Oh, okay. Well, that business, that was one of his failures, actually. It was one of the most interesting rides, though. So I mean, for me, StartUpNV is a startup, but I've been a startup wife for more times than I can tell you, and that is a roller coaster ride. Okay, let's move on. All right, key activities. It says to-do list. But you should think of this as like a daily list of things that you have to do, just kind of overarching things, like what do you have to get done? You have to do research on the ingredients that go into your product. You need to source the best, most reliable, that's why we have David talking about supply chain, the best way to get the ingredients that go into your product or service. And it's not necessarily the cheapest. It may be the most reliable. So we have a company now that's in Angel NV and Cornell. So they have a supplement for urinary tract infections, and it's like so many more cranberries that you could eat than you ever wanted to eat in a kind of an elixir. And so they've got good sales, but they run out of product constantly. And so, I mean, they were telling the angels, like, yeah, we need more money so we can buy more supply. So it's a good problem to have. And I'm thinking, maybe they just don't plan them. Like, you know, you should be looking at your inventory so that you can tell when growth is on the rise, then you need to get your product in faster. So that's supply chain. You've got an expert in the room who's going to be teaching that one. And then the key resources. Key resources are like thinking about that sumo, that big partner that you can get. And when you're first starting off, it may not be possible. You may not have enough traction to make whatever offer you're giving to them be attractive enough. But you can start working on that relationship. And then as you gain traction, you can give them reports about your progress and say, are you sure you don't want to start featuring us? Because it'll be good for both of us. And so they'll come to a point where you wear them down and they can see that with your growth that they really do need to partner with you. Okay, so for the cost structure, which of the things that we just talked about are going to have price tags? And this is where you're going to list the things that you're going to have to pay for. So when you're first starting off, it could be labor is not an issue for you because you're willing to work for free. But labor at some point is going to come into play. And then there's the cost of whatever goods, there's the cost of advertising, whether it's social media or print or billboards. You know, it could be billboards. Whatever it is that you're going to advertise. And then there's other services too, like you're going to have some software expenses to keep your business running so that you're not just tied up in tedium. You're going to need bookkeeping, you may need a CRM, a customer relationship management software. You need a way of getting better organized so that you look bigger than your 1 or 2 person staff. And one of the ways to do that is with software and with AI and software.
Maggie, we have a hand raised online.
Okay. Let's see if we can hear them if they speak.
Hi, this is Jennifer Butler. Can you hear me?
You have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you can hear me first.
We do.
So my question under the cost structure, it says that it's not the full financials. So are you trying to get to a cost per product? Is that what we're trying to come to here?
No, we're not doing any financials. We're just trying to jot down the big things that we're going to have to pay for. For example, labor. We're not going to figure out how many people. We just know that labor is going to be an expense. We know that marketing is going to be an expense and software is going to be an expense. You could go a little deeper into the software to figure out what types of software you're going to need to start with.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay, and then over here on this end, these 2 bottom boxes are kind of the summaries of the top boxes. So we're going to figure out what our major expenses are, and we're going to figure out where we think we're going to have revenue coming in. I see a lot of people who are planning to start websites, and they think that advertising is going to be their major source of income. That could be in 3 or 5 years. It's probably not going to be advertising on your app when you first start. You have to build credibility. There are so many apps out there that people are not going to throw money at advertising until they know that you have a big enough audience for them to reap some reward for it. So be cautious about adding app advertising revenue, because you may be fooling yourself. Okay, now when you see it all put together, it looks a little overwhelming. But if you just work through it, one step at a time, and the boxes are actually numbered. If you go to the Strategizer website, the boxes are numbered in the order in which you should tackle these things. And you could sit down and probably take you 2 or 3 hours to go through all of them, but you don't have to do it all at once. Let's take the front of the house, the customer side first. That's the fun part, anyway. Unless you're operationally motivated, then the back of the house is going to be a little more interesting to you. But you don't have to sit down and do it all in one go. I know this is the exercise for this week, is working on your business model canvas and sharing with us. But you don't have to be intimidated by that. We're not going to read through it and pick it apart. We're going to read through it and see if you got the concept for each box. And if you did, we'll let you know. And if you didn't, if you missed on one, we'll give you a little nudge in a different direction so that you're getting the concepts. Here they are numbered. Okay, so we're going to start with the value proposition. And that was kind of what I was asking the people in the beginning. Tell me what your business is, what it does, and who it helps. That's the value proposition. Who are we helping? And then 2, you go over to those customer segments, and then 3 and 4, they build on making this bridge between your value proposition and your customer. Then we move over to our key partners. How are we going to get this done? What activities do we have to do to make the business work? What resources do we need for that same purpose? And then our costs to make it all work, and our revenue streams. So this ties in kind of closely to our customer discovery, which I think might be Monday's class. So before you start spending on your business, you want to go out and talk to customers, potential customers, just people, and see if they see that there is a need for your product, if they will buy it. And if they will buy it, what will they pay for it? So that's Monday's lesson. But that ties into figuring out what your resources are. So if you don't know now all of your resources, it's okay. You'll discover them. All right, and one way to kind of take all of the information from the business model canvas is to make this little ad-lib. So you would say, my product or service, or you could say, Ray Lachey and Partners provide value to writers, and who else? Mostly writers and filmmakers. Okay, and so you're just going to kind of take that value proposition and add it in here, but then also include what you expect to spend money on. So that's box number 8, and how you make money, box number 9. And so with this ad-lib, you can summarize everything on that one piece of paper, and it can be very succinct. And so the next time you go to a party and somebody asks you what you do, you got somebody in the waiting room, you can whip this out. You don't have to whip it out, you have to memorize it. Here, just read this. Yes, no, it's a party, so we're gonna be social. Yeah.
In other words, be more prepared.
In other words,
Caught me off guard and then like heard of the people.
Well, I think
I'm
you
like,
did
hey,
fine.
I forgot my business name.
It's practice though, right? And that's one of the reasons why we're doing these stand-ups when we get started, is because you will get better at it the more you practice. And so being put on the spot is not a bad thing. I mean, this is, a warm and fuzzy space. We're not going to tell you you're terrible. We're just going to help you. right? So might as well do it in front of friends.
Hey Maggie, we have a question on that.
Yes.
Tamika wants to know, is there a different model for a nonprofit that may fit better with providing services to others rather than generating income?
Yes, but your value proposition is going to be much more meaningful, right? And so it's your value proposition, and you have to be clear about that, because as a nonprofit, you're either going for grants or you're going for donations. And so you have to make a case for your nonprofit. So you have to do all those same things. You just have to make sure that you have a really clear message that people understand and phrased in such a way that they want to help you, that they want to donate, or they want to volunteer, or they want to introduce you to people. So it's still the same thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so putting it all together, that's the Mad Lib broken down. The colors are supposed to align with the boxes, so you know where the source information is for your little statement is coming from. And this should be online in Disco. So yes, we're still going to reduce uncertainty so we can create value. And as I said, it's one piece of paper. You can throw it out, you can stick it in a drawer, you can start over, start fresh, you can pivot your ideas. Because as you do the stuff we're going to talk about on Monday, customer discovery, you may have to do that. You may have to modify the idea that you started with, because in talking to people, you've discovered that there's a need for something that's slightly different than what you thought. You definitely want to go where the customers are. All right, well, that's it for today. How'd I do on time? Okay, we've got some time for questions before the mentors are going to take over. We're still doing the pre-program survey, so if you can do that, that's helpful. If you didn't check in, came in late, please use the check-in. And Andrew, if you mind putting that in chat one more time. Okay, any questions? Okay, so the question is about how do you create a value proposition for a very creative type of business? And so she's an artist, and do you have a studio? Yeah. Okay, so she does have a studio. So it's kind of a slightly different thing, as you know. It's harder to define because people, like, they know art when they see it, right? It's hard to define. So people's motivations are very simple. They move toward pleasure, they move away from pain. So you're definitely in the moving towards pleasure realm versus moving away from pain, which is what a lot of businesses start with. They have a pain point and they have a solution for that pain point. So that's actually easier to define because you experienced that pain as you came up with your idea to resolve it. On the other hand, when you're moving towards pleasure, it is harder to motivate people to do that. And so a lot of times, if you think about the advertising that's out there for luxury vacations or for artwork, it's like, you deserve it. You can express yourself more. You can feel more self-actualized if you surround yourself with art that makes you feel good, or that you brought it because you loved the artist, you loved the message. So the messaging is slightly different, but it's still, you still have to work through it. Okay, was there another hand in the back of the room? Or was somebody just waving to Ken? Hi, Ken. Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, well, you can see the type of room that we're in. We have our mentors are in the room. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I'm 6. So we have the list of who are assigned to which mentors. And so let's have the mentors stand up. Go ahead, Steve. This is Steve Goodall. And this is Amanda Goodall. And then Ken is standing over by the wall. And then David, do you want to stand up? David is here, and Noah. Okay, and I'm here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna spread out the mentors, and then you guys can go to where your mentor is. So it's not as big a crowd as I was worried about, so I think that we'll be able to use this room. And we could even have one group go outside if they'd like to. I haven't explored out there too much, so I don't know how busy it is out there. But I know I also saw Nathaniel and Jamie. They are also here.
And if you don't know who your mentor is, come talk to me.
Yeah, Andrew has the list of everybody, and it's in alpha order, so all you need to know is your last name.
I hope you know.
Okay.
Pretty quiet outside and clear.
It's quiet and clear outside? Okay, all right, so let's spread out mentors, and everybody online, thank you for coming. I hope that you checked in. If not, and if you have any trouble with Disco, please write to Andrew@startupnv.org, or you can write to me to Maggie@startupnv.org. And we will see you guys on Monday.